All right, y'all. Welcome to the Trendsetter podcast. I'm your host, LB, LaTonya Baker. All right, so Miss D, my long-term friend. She's much older than me, like a year.
Like it's a disrespect for me.
So you and I met in 1990 at North Division High School.
No.
Was it?
No, it was like 92.
92?
Yeah.
Okay. Somewhere in the 90s.
90 was my
I remember you having all those colors on and a similar necklace to what you have on now. But what's so unique about how we met was...
Here we go. The shenanigans.
So we met in band, in the gym class in band. It was our first day of our marching band practice. And I can remember standing there with the trumpet. And I don't even know why I played the trumpet. I just know I wanted to be in the band. Mm-hmm. But I remember, first of all, let me start with why I went to North Division. I went to North Division because I wanted to be in the band, in the choir. And when I got there, shout out to Mr. Applewhite. He was the new band teacher. And I'm like, where is the original band teacher? What was his name? Mr. Adams, right? Mr. Thomas. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mr. Thomas. I had heard about Mr. Thomas, never met him, but I had saw him in parade, so I couldn't wait to just be in the band. And when I get there, there's another guy that comes in and he's talking about some orchestra band. I'm like, no, that's boring. Where's the marching band? So I like how he literally listened to us and was like, y'all want to march? We was like, yeah. So the next thing you know, the marching band was just there. I don't even how did you get the news about practice? Because you weren't there when we talked about a marching band. Like, how did you know to even come to practice that day?
Because I was a part of the band.
Yeah, whatever. So anyways, I'm standing there in line and here she comes over there like, you need to stand this way and you need to put your feet this way. And I'm like, and who are you? And you were like, I'm the band leader or something, or the line leader. Was it the line leader?
Line leader.
And I'm like, I knew you were upperclassman. You were tall, so I wasn't going to talk crap in your face. But as soon as you turned around, I was like, you need it. But I like how you handled that, because I'm just like, I was just so mad. Like, who does she think she is coming to tell me what to do in the band? But you were just funny. And from then on, we just kind of like been kicking it ever since then. But I can just remember, marching in the band, having our fun, going on our trips, whatever. And you were just like this big protective sister. Mm-hmm. You were tall, first of all. But you had this kind of like protective type of characteristic about yourself. Tell us about your childhood and, why you had those characteristics. Like, were you the big sister in the house? Like, what are some of the things that you had to really just kind of display in your household?
It's funny that you asked that, because me and one of my sisters always go back and forth. Like, where was our big sister at? Mm. Like, where was she at? She's only a year older than me. So like, where was she at? I'm thinking, was she out doing her own thing? I couldn't tell you summers that she was there. Like, where is she at? So I guess I was the bigger sister. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I don't know if she was out of town, because I know every summer my mom sent us to Chicago, and it probably wasn't my turn to go or something. I don't know, but I took that role because, like I said earlier, I had 4 brothers. Well, 3 of them older than me. One was incarcerated. One stayed in his car 24/7. He lived in his little Cadillac, and the other one was in the streets. He wasn't gangbanging or nothing. He was just with his friends, and that just left me and my 2 younger sisters. I swear to you, I can't tell you what my older sister was at. Mm-hmm. She was probably grown. Okay. But after my mom, started going, because my mom was in school. And she was working, and she was out here partying, living her best life, crossing state lines, living her best life with her friends. Mm-hmm. So that left me. Okay. So I guess that could be why I'm such a protector. I am, and I'm very
observant. Yes. And observant.
Yes, I'm very overprotective of people that's close to me. Okay. Or that I see that something's going wrong, because I'm not saying that I had the worst childhood, and I'm not saying I had the best, but I'm still here.
I think that most of us, again, shout out to just the North Division staff as a whole. You don't think about as a kid what some of your friends may be dealing with at home, because when you come to the school, you're just able to be whoever you want to be, especially, in the performing arts program. We were able to just really showcase our talents. And so whatever worries we had going on at home, we worried about that when we got home. In school, it was just like we're these goofy kids that can just be loud, just explore, our youth and whatever we had to explore. So I don't think you and I ever even sat down and had a conversation similar to this about what may have been going on at home. What are some of the things that you may have dealt with going on at home at the time that we were in high school?
Ooh, I can remember, lots of things that was sometimes we always had food, but we ain't never had nobody to cook it. Sometimes my mama cooked for us, when school is Monday, I'll say she'll cook Sunday through Thursday. I'm going to give her that. Friday, Saturday, maybe some Sundays, but Thursday through Sunday, Sunday through Thursday, she'll cook something. The weekends, every man for himself. Summertime, Monday through Sunday, every man for himself. Yeah. Like my great aunt just left from up here saying, you know how to cook? Telling me, you know how to cook? I'm like, yeah, I can cook. She was like, because y'all used to eat sandwiches, and this is the summertime. Y'all used to eat sandwiches every time you turn around, which is true. So that was one of the things that when we did go to school, I was so happy to go to school sometimes, especially the summer bands that we was in, Umoja. We wasn't eating like that at home. Even though we had food, we just didn't have nobody cooking for us. Because I didn't know how to cook like that. Because my mom only bought pork chops and chicken, the big stuff. And then we'll have sandwich meat for the days that she wouldn't cook. But the summertime, it was every man for himself, literally.
And I actually admired the fact that you came from a big family in the house. Like I have a big family overall, but in my house, in my immediate household, it was just me, my mother, and my sister. So I admired the fact that you had a big family, but I guess as a kid, you don't think about what comes with having a big family. Yeah. And sometimes that's sacrifice. Sometimes that's sharing with everybody in the house. So
Clothes.
I didn't, yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I hear a lot of people that say that when they, come from having a big family like that, they did have to share a lot of things.
Yeah.
And that wasn't my experience. So I guess sometimes you don't even realize, how blessed you probably are, not having to do certain things or sacrifice certain things that others may have to. I looked at it like, oh my God, I wish I had a big family like that, because I looked at it like it was probably fun. So what do you think are some of the challenges that your mother may have faced at that time with having a lot of kids in the house?
Financials. That was their number one challenge, was financials, because like I said, she was in school. And I swear, I think my mom was in school half my teenage years or my younger youth, like 13 to maybe 17, 18.
What was she in school for?
I remember her going to school doing shorthand. She was in school for nursing. She was doing all kinds of stuff. Do you think her going to school was just her just trying to figure things out? Yeah. Okay. Trying to escape her world because she was going through, battered girlfriend. She was in a battered relationship. Okay. And that was pretty much my whole life. Did you ever witness this? Okay. Oh, yeah. What did that do to you individually? Or do you think it added to some trauma or caused some trauma in your life? Yeah. What type of trauma? It made me, I vowed to myself I would never, ever let my kids see, if I ever was to have kids, which I do have 2 kids now, I would never, ever let them see me go through anything like that. My kids would never see me raise my voice at my spouse. I wasn't going to live in a domestic violent relationship. My mouth is too slick. I can leave first. I don't have to wait on you to leave. And that right there traumatized me, to see that you constantly getting into it with somebody and you're not doing nothing to fix the situation or right the situation. You have all these children. Did you ever have any anger towards your mom because of that? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. For a point in time, I almost hated my mom. Okay. I almost did. Well, I want to talk about that because I remember when my mother passed, you were the first person who called me. I wasn't even sure how you found out about it. I think it may have been on social media. And you shared with me that you were still talking to my mother, even though you and I had not talked in a while. We didn't fall out or anything like that. I had moved out of town, but we hadn't talked in a while. And I know you were going through some health challenges. I didn't even know that my mother was praying for you, calling you, during and after your surgery and things of that nature. And I remember you calling me a couple months after she passed, and you were just like, I just wanted to share with you that seeing you lose your mother has really encouraged me to fix the relationship with my mother. Let's talk about that. What are some things that you think you had to fix with your mother? Wow, Tanya. Do you remember having that conversation with me? Okay. Because I went straight home after we left from your mom's services. I went straight home to my mom and I said, I have to get life insurance on you right now, because I do not want to go through what LaTonya just went through ever. And she was like, what happened? And I'm telling her, and she was like, well, I didn't know you was that close to her. Nobody did, because your mom used to call me and I'm like, how did you know that I was in the hospital? Because she would always call me while I'm in the hospital. I never told her. She just always called me, and I was always getting ready to go into surgery, and she'd do her little prayers for me and all that other stuff. And I'm like, and I told my mom this stuff. I'm like, this is some of the stuff that you don't do. Like, I can't tell you if my mama ever stepped foot in the church. I can't tell you any of that. I'm not saying that I'm like the holier than thou, because I'm not. But it just made me want to go talk to my mom and fix everything that was wrong, because your mom, she just passed just to, not just to be passing, but it was so unexpected.
Unexpected, yeah.
And that made me want to fix it with my mom. Like, you never know. And I'm sitting up here mad at her over something that happened when I was a kid. Literally pissed with my mom, but she never understood it, because she wanted to like put it on the back burner like it never happened, or I don't know, but I knew I was there and I saw it, and I knew I had to fix this relationship. Because I can tell you now, I barely go to my mom's house, and it eats me up that I barely go over there right now to this day, because she's still in denial about what happened. But I fixed it to the point where I can go over there and just chill. And I had to stop blaming her for things that she did have control over, but she didn't stop the domestic violence.
And I think that a lot of women, or a lot of people that I witnessed in growing up or whatever, trauma that was going on in our households, as a Black family, we're taught what happens in this house stays in this house. And that's a very unfortunate lesson that we're taught. It's been my goal to change that, when it comes to my kids. I know that there were things that my kids saw growing up, no battery or anything like that, but they saw me put up and settle with their father. My high school sweetheart, you know him. We all went to school together. So I want to talk about our circle of friends and, kind of like what was going on in high school. We were just this goofy group of people. A lot of the guys that we dated ran in the same circle. We ran in the same circle. We all, most of us became pregnant by the same guys. What I love about our circle is, even though we became pregnant by the guys that were not ready to be fathers, we stuck with each other. Whether it was dinner at our house on the weekend, in the summertime, we were just like thick as thieves. We had our share of ups and downs. What friends did not have that. But some of the individuals that we hung with in our circle, as an adult, I started thinking about just who they were as a friend, their characteristics. And fast forward 30 years later, some of us are still hanging tough. There were some people that we had to, disconnect ourselves from for whatever reason. And a situation that I went through maybe 2 or 3 years ago, I've never publicly spoken about this. And let me talk about exposure. We talked earlier about me being molested as a kid, and the people I was molested by, they owned a store in the neighborhood I grew up in. And I thought that if I exposed them, that the exposure would hurt me, because a lot of people like them. So if I tell what they're doing to me, which was molesting me, then I'm probably going to be looked at like I'm lying. And if I can't prove it, then people are probably going to hate me. And at an early age, I didn't want people to hate me. So I went through life trying to show my loyalty to people, even people who did not deserve it. And so when it comes to exposure, I just don't expose people. I think that people will expose themselves, and that's not my job. And again, I don't want it to backfire on me. So, growing up not wanting to expose the people that hurt me, again, I felt like that would hurt me, exposing them. So a situation took place with, someone that I was friends with. And when it took place and I was hurt from it, we had a business relationship together that did not work out. And part of the reason it did not work out is because her daughter was involved. And when I started thinking about how she was with her kids growing up, she was always the type of person that kind of let her kids just kind of have their way. I'm one of those type of people. I don't judge people for how they parent. I think there's just certain things you kind of just don't you don't really just talk about, because it can really easily offend people. So their children, their marriage, things like that, I don't really just, unless you ask my opinion or unless I get your approval to speak on it, I kind of just stay away from those conversations. And so this particular mutual friend of ours growing up, I realized how it was really important for her to kind of just let her kids kind of have their way. You know, we all kind of saw it. But fast forward years later, it was kind of the same thing. So when situations happen with me, I always ask myself, how could I have avoided this? What did I contribute to this? And how could things have gone different? And in that situation, when people do things to hurt us, I think about who they are on a personal level, professional level, and if I ignored that. And with this particular individual, I do think I ignored some red flags. Mm-hmm. Some of those red flags were her children just being involved in things that she didn't really speak up on. Now, in her defense, I can say that I was kind of like that when it came to not speaking up on things. I didn't know how to just really tell someone you're hurting me. I didn't know how to really tell someone you're offending me. I didn't know how to tell someone I don't think I like what you did and this is why. I didn't. It took me until I was in my 40s to be able to say to someone, look, I have to let you go. What you're doing to me is hurting me. I don't like it. And because of that, I have to let you go. Mm-hmm. I can say that now. But, you know, growing up in our circle, I didn't know how to say that. I think some of it came from me watching my mom constantly get hurt by people. I saw my mom just help so many people and people not value that or just say a simple thank you. Mm-hmm. You know, people live with us and people would kick my mother while she was down. And when she got back up, she would help those same people. And I picked that up. And I know, you know, you all say things like you just little Miss T all over again. Mm-hmm. And so again, I kind of sympathize or I kind of understand this mutual friend of ours, how she kind of didn't really say things to people when they hurt her either. So fast forward to us having a partnership, a lot of those affected our partnership. I let so much go by because I'm the type of person I have to continue to prove my loyalty over and over and over again. I have to go above and beyond what anybody's expectation is of me. That's just how I operate. But that can also be a gift and a curse. Mm-hmm. And so what that did for me is it kind of put them in a situation to where they didn't have to do as much in the business because I was always doing more. And eventually when I started to feel that burnout, I'm like, hey, I need for us to really sit down and talk about responsibilities and roles. And because I don't want to take on so much that I've been taking on. But because they allowed it and I allowed it, I think sometimes people are just like, well, this is what you allow. You know, what do you expect? Mm-hmm. And so something took place to where I was just like, I got to step away from this. I didn't see a change. I did not want to end the friendship, but an argument took place that caused us to end the friendship. And as much as I tried to fix it and sit down and talk, it just seemed like we weren't getting anywhere. I had to literally walk away from a company that was a $1 million company at that time and start over. And I did it with no hesitation. And for the first time in my life, ever in my life, you know, I was being bashed, I was being talked about, and I was being criticized, but I could not give it any energy. And the people that were in my circle, you know, it made us upset. And there were times when they were like, look, you probably need to say something. Why aren't you saying something? And I had to say to them, look, if I put any energy towards that and not where I am going, I'm probably going to miss out. Mm-hmm. So I can't. And because it was a friend that was doing this, it was just like, man, how dare you? I didn't want to fight at that time. Even though, you know, growing up, hey, I was quick to fight, but I was different now. I had a different mindset. So I had to find a different way to fight. And the lessons that I learned in that situation is, you know, when you're going into business with someone, especially someone you consider a friend, you have those hard conversations in the beginning. You know, you set those expectations and you also let them know what you're not going to tolerate. You know, you get an understanding of what their expectations are. You get an understanding of what their wants and their likes are. And you don't let other people become involved in the situation because that can tear it down. You know, I've shared some things with you and how that situation made me feel. How do you see me now as a person, fast forward to today, and how that situation took place and how it caused some trauma in my life? Like, how do you see me as your friend and, you know, what I've accomplished and who I am now today?
I see you taking like you were standoffish about who you trust in your circle now. I see that, and I don't think you even realize that you're doing it, that you're almost forcing people to prove that they deserve to be around you. And like I said, I don't think you're doing it on purpose. I think that's what you're demanding by how you speak to people, because you don't speak to them down. You talk to them like they're on your level, and that you guys are equal. Either you're going to get it or you're not. You're going to roll with me or you're not. So that's one thing I've noticed since I've been back around you, that you are doing with the people that you let in your circle.
Yeah.
So that's actually a good thing. And you're learning to say no now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now you're saying you can't come now versus, sure, I got it. Come on, let's go. You're learning to be the Tanya you're supposed to be. You are still a very giving person, but no is becoming a part of your vocabulary, and that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Or I can't right now.
Yeah.
That's the best thing I heard you say in a long time. I can't right now.
Yeah.
Versus come on, I'll figure it out. Because that's what you would do. You would go crazy breaking yourself to help the next person out.
Oh yeah. Is there anything that you can think of that you think, as my friend, and again, be truthful about this, that you think I can probably work on or do better at, or do you think I've already done that?
The only thing that it won't change who you are, is to continue to set your boundaries. Don't let nobody cross over your boundaries. Just to be their friend, or just to have them in your circle, or if you think that idea works for you at the moment, no, this is what you can do. This is what you could do, actually. And this is one thing that you definitely need to work on. Everything that comes to you don't have to be brought to fruition. You can take your time, because you are burning yourself completely out.
I've burnt myself out.
Yeah. So you can write the idea down. You can come back to it. You can think on it. You don't have to guess it right away.
Yeah. I'm actually learning that. Thank you for saying that too, because I'm actually learning that. I think that I always have to have the answer for everybody.
Yeah.
And I take on people's stuff. Yeah. Even if it's a question that I don't have the answer to. So what I'm actually realizing is it's okay to say, I'm not sure.
Or I'll get back to you on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you always, call Sonia, put it on my books. No, Tanya, relax. Finish 13 projects first, then get to the 14th.
I have 13 projects.
I mean, you might do. You might do. But yeah, because you have to slow down, because you're going to burn yourself out.
Yeah.
Because you're doing everything for everyone. I know it's exciting, but guess who you're not taking care of, though?
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess who you're not taking care of? And that's your number one prayer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's actually my number one priority now.
Oh, okay.
Because it's easy to say it over and over again, but it's hard to break patterns. And, we talk about breaking cycles and generational curses, but what about breaking patterns? And I don't think we can break cycles and curses without breaking patterns. And I had to break patterns. I had to break patterns of putting anything and everything before me. But I actually thought, I guess I was thinking backwards. I actually thought that if I put anything and everything before me, that it would encourage people to see my loyalty, see me, and love me. But now I'm just like, yeah, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. However, but when you are consistently acting in that manner, it's hard to break it.
Yeah.
And the only way to break it is just taking it one day at a time. And that's what I've had to do. This is week 2 that I'm going into really looking at where I am now in my life and where I want to be. And my goal is, how I treat people, how I talk to people, how I interact with people throughout the day. I'm thinking about, what can I do to make sure I sleep peacefully tonight? How I react to people and all that. What can I do to make sure I sleep peacefully? I don't want to argue with anybody. I don't want to be a part of any toxic conversations. I don't want to be involved in any of that. When I think about our circle of friends growing up, at the time, and during that time and our age, we did and acted the way we did accordingly. And there was a lot of stressful moments because I was one of those type of people. I wanted to see everybody be friends. I wanted to see everybody get along. Now I realize how that can even be draining, wanting everybody to be friends, because at the end of the day, most of everybody in our circle was friends. I was kind of like the common denominator.
Right.
So it's almost like if you love me and respect me, you're not going to cause this stress and drama because you don't like this other person that's my friend. So I had to really be mindful of who I call my friend, because why is it that people in my circle are not liking each other?
Right.
Like that's a problem. And so as an adult, I don't deal with that. There isn't anyone in my circle that just don't like each other. At least they don't tell me. And if they do feel a certain way about someone in a circle, they're mature enough to not bring that drama and that stress to me. I've really learned how to identify people's characteristics and verify if they line up with mine. And if they don't, it's like, yeah, you can't be a part of this. We can probably be associates, but you can't be my friend. So this whole situation that took place with the friend that I was friends with over 30 years, it taught me a lot. I'm one of those type of people. I go back and I look at situations and I'm just like, okay, what do I need to get out of this? So that the next time something similar like this happens, I know how to deal with it, or I can prevent this from happening again. And, when you think about 30 years, that's a long time to be friends with someone. I can say that she did bring some value in my life, and I like to think that I brought value to her life. But how the situation was dealt with, because she's one of those type of people that she doesn't like to really express herself a lot. The things that she said to me were so hurtful, and because I know that she kind of took things from other people, I'm like, why use the chance that you're mad at me to say these hurtful things? And I'm like, you could have said these hurtful things to other people that hurt you, but you choosing me to say these too. And I felt defeated because of that. I felt hurt. And if I could sit down and talk to her to this day, it wouldn't be to resolve the friendship or to rekindle the friendship. I understand that season is over with, but we don't have to hate each other. I would probably ask her, what I want to know what I did. I want to know, what could I have done to avoid this situation, or what could I have done to just be a better friend? Because I don't consider myself to be perfect, but what did I do? And I've yet to this day to be able to understand, or to be able to be told by her what I did. And I may never hear that. And that's okay if I don't. I just know in the current friendships that I'm in and going forward, have those conversations ahead of time. And if I'm ever, and I'm actually in the process of going into a business partnership with a friend. You can kind of say I'm in a business partnership with friends now. And that's why I always ask you all, and I say to you all, you don't work for me, you work with me. How can I be a better leader to you all? How can I better support you in your endeavors? And because of that situation, this is why I ask those questions. And so I'll ask you, how can I better support you, or how can I be a better leader in your role in my company?
That's the question you like, get us back in here. That's it. That's all. No, you right now, because you, like you said, you don't talk down to us. You talk to us as if we're part of the Trendsetters, empire as well. So that's what makes it so easy to work for you and with you, is that it's not like corporate America, like you go over there, you do this, you get in the trenches right along with us. When it's something that needs to be done, you're right there, number one, with us.
Yeah. For as long as I can remember knowing you have been holding down a job since you were like, 15, 16 years old. And I loved how dedicated you were to whoever you work for. Let's talk about what makes a good leader, and let's talk about some of your experience with working at these jobs or working with people. Like, what makes a good leader? Like, what do you look for in an employer, when you're part of a team?
An employer that don't talk down to you. Don't take away anything that you bring to offer that company. Okay. That helps build you up within that company. Looks out for strengths and weaknesses to help build you within that company. So that's what I love about what you do, because you definitely, if you don't see someone working out in this area, say they doing, what is it, housekeeping. If you see that they're not doing good in housekeeping, you're trying to find different ways, like training classes. You're big on training classes to help them learn how to do the job that they're set up for. Like when we're in here doing decorations and stuff like that, you're making sure that everybody is hands-on. Even you get in here, you help us do everything from from start to finish. You start at the earliest time you can, and you probably be the last person out the door. So that's one thing that I can not say that other companies have done. I'm volunteering for just about anything I can volunteer for with every company I've ever worked for, because I like the limelight. But I do. And some of the companies, you never get to meet the CEO, okay, unless it's the year-round company meeting, and you're probably on Zoom. That's the new thing now, is Zoom, or they'll fly in for that day and say hello, and that's pretty much it. But with you sit and you make sure that everybody has a word to say, everybody has something to speak on, a topic, something. You make sure every single person's voice is heard, and you take notes. You take the criticism back with you, and we bring it answers to the questions that we had to the following meeting, or just in passing, whatever question that was brought up to you, you'll try to address it right there if you found an answer or a conclusion to whatever we brought to you. So that's some of the things that I love about working here at GOE versus some of the other companies. They wouldn't. It's like you had to jump over hoops to get a promotion there. Okay. Like, especially my last job, you had to jump over hoops you had to please every single body. You had to pretty much kiss tail to get promotions. Here, as long as you're doing your job and you're showing that your leadership and that you're a go-getter, you're giving out promotions left and right. And it amazes me how you motivate us. And you don't even know you're doing it. Even if you're not having a good day, you still come through here and you're motivating us. And we won't find out something wrong with you until you sitting alone in your room, in your office, with the lights off in a heavy thought. Yeah. And then someone asks you, what's wrong with you? Well, let me just
give you a disclaimer. I like to have the lights off and the natural light coming in. So whether something is wrong with me or not, I just like that. You said something that made me think about something I saw on social media the other day, where an individual posted that they were fired from their job for speaking up to a white manager. In the environment they worked in, it was a lot of black people in the environment. They all had the same complaints, but nobody would speak up other than them. Mm-hmm. And they were fired for that, and none of the black people had their backs. Have you ever worked in an environment where it was similar to that? It was mainly blacks. It was a lot of things going on that everybody complained about amongst each other, but when it came to management, nobody would ever speak up. Have you ever dealt with anything like that?
Yes, my last job.
Okay.
My last job, and I loved my job. I loved it to death. I was almost forced into retirement.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think that? And what I'm getting to is, when it comes to our community, I can name a lot of situations where we don't stick up for each other. We don't have each other's back. We'll talk amongst each other and we'll complain about things, but when it's time to stand up, we don't do that. And I'm in a situation right now where I'm having to stand on the forefront for other companies that provide similar services that I provide. And when I gave them the opportunity to speak up to someone who can help us, only 3 people spoke up. And I'm just like, everybody has all these complaints. Why isn't anyone speaking up? Why do you think that is? Why do you think that us as a community, we don't speak up when given the opportunity?
They don't want the backlash. Okay. Your voice is already out there. Let you catch it. Okay. I mean, you jumping up front in the front lines anyways, they're going to let you catch it. They don't want the backlash. And see, that's
But they want the benefits that come.
They want the benefits.
With speaking up.
That's the one thing that, like I said, my mouth is too... I'm going to speak up when I see wrong, especially if I'm 100% right on a situation and I know I'm right. That could be a curse and a downfall at the same time, because sometimes you have to think of what you're saying and how passionate are you about what you're saying. Is this really worth what you're saying? That's my biggest problem. But that's why some of the people don't speak up, because you already got somebody in front of me speaking hot.
Why do you think there's so much division? Like I said, growing up, we kind of had our little circle, our little cliques. There were multiple cliques in high school. Like, why do you think there's so much division and so much drama amongst us as Black women? Like, let me just say this: where we are now in our friendships and our circle, amazing. We have our ups and downs, but no one is disrespectful. I never feel like any of us are talking about each other. I feel like we have such a sacred trust amongst us. But why do you think it is with a lot of Black women in general, why that does not exist in a lot of circles?
Because they don't think everybody can eat off the same plate. Mm-hmm. It's plenty of money out here to be made. Everybody ain't got to, have a piece of this pie. Mm-hmm. You can have your own. Everybody had their own thought of what they wanted to do, and everybody put it to fruition. Say a whole friend group put it to fruition, and each group did their own little thing. As long as everybody's helping out in each department or each entity, everybody can get along and everybody can eat. But everybody wants to drill down on the one person that's doing everything and then be jealous of that person for some strange reason. I don't know why. Have
you ever been jealous of a friend?
No.
Do you think a friend has ever been jealous of you?
Of course.
Why is that?
I have no idea. I don't flaunt nothing. I still shop at the cheap stores. I still shop on the sales rack. I shop at Amy. Amy is my best friend. I have no idea. People just assume that I have money. Mm-hmm. Assume. I just make it
look
good.
Sometimes I don't even think it's about the money. I think, and I've said this before, that sometimes people can just be envious of your gifts. Like I said, earlier you mentioned that you had a big family. I witnessed that. I had a smaller family, and not that I was ever envious of that, but I was inspired by it. But I didn't understand what comes with having a bunch of siblings in the household. So sometimes people are envious of what you have and what they wish they could have, but they don't even realize the sacrifices that you make or have to go through to even maintain that.
That's where I was going next. That's exactly where I was going next, because people are always saying, how are you doing this? How you do that? Or you make your relationship look like this. No, it's just, I don't have to come outside and tell y'all everything that's going on in my household.
I have another question. Have you ever had to walk away from a friendship? And if so, why?
Yes. Yes, I definitely did. And it ain't like I'm mad at the person or anything like that. I was more shocked and appalled than anything. Mm-hmm. It hurt my feelings to find out that me thinking we're friends.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that, even going back to childhood to now, do you think that you've been the best friend that you could be in all of your friendships?
I thought I have, because I don't use the word friend loosely. Mm-hmm. When I call you my friend, I mean that with my whole heart.
What is a friend? What makes a good friend?
A friend is a person that I can go to, or that person can come to me for any and everything. We should be able to give constructive criticism back and forth and be able to accept it or take it, or give good advice, bad advice. A friend is someone that has your back no matter what. Mm-hmm. I mean, we can argue like sisters, and we're supposed to be able to come back together after that.
What about, have you ever been friends with someone who has done malicious things or hurtful things to other people other than you?
Yes, I have, but I have to watch them.
Why still be friends with somebody like that?
Because they haven't done anything to me, and I don't know what their situation is to make that their friendship break up. So I have to judge people on what they do to me. I can't judge them on what they do to you.
Okay. So do you think that just because they hadn't done it to you, they won't?
Well, that's where the word friend come into play. Mm-hmm. Because I pick and choose who I'm going to be around or how I'm going to feed you from that point on. Just because I'm talking to you and high and buying you don't mean we're friends. Mm-hmm. If I kind of show you where we stand without showing you where we stand.
But have you ever been friends, someone that you actually called a friend, with someone that has not did anything malicious to you, but you know that they did something malicious to someone else?
No, like you were saying earlier, you said that you had a friend that was cheating with a married man. Absolutely not. That would not. Absolutely not. Okay. It's different situations for different times to be a friend. And that is one thing I do not play with. I don't play with, if I'm knowingly knowing that you're cheating with a married man or woman, that's a no for me.
What about friends whose parenting skills may not line up with yours?
That's something I can't it all depends, because I can't tell you how to parent your kid. So as long as your kid is not doing anything to me directly or disrespecting my household, that has nothing to do with me.
So what are the type of friends that you have around you and that you value, and why are they your friends, or why do you consider them to be your friends?
So I must just say the respect level.
Okay. So
if the respect level is given and received, then of course we can be friends.
Okay.
But if it's a one-sided relationship, I can't do one-sided relationships. Just like the incident that you were speaking on earlier about the 30-year friendship. While I was trying to be out here to be y'all spokesperson to get y'all back together, that's when I found out a statement that you were like, why are you over here trying to fix us? Why don't you go fix y'all? And that was the first I had ever heard of fix y'all. What's wrong with us? Yeah.
So again, I'm all about not exposing people. So a conversation that you and I had about a mutual friend that I was, not in a good place with it anymore. I knew that for me, I was trying to still be that loyal friend, even though she and I was not friends anymore, without sounding like I was trying to kick up some mess. I'm really wise about my choice of words. I say this because I still have to maintain this who I am even to this day.
Yeah.
I'm really wise about my choice of words and my conversations with people who I'm friends with. But what I have really learned when it comes to friendships, I shouldn't have to be uncomfortable or bite my tongue about things that other friends may be going through. We should all be able to sit down and have a conversation, whether you like what I'm saying or if you agree to it or not. There should always be respect. So again, that situation has taught me that. That situation has taught me to speak up. So for example, if I'm friends with someone and another friend feels a certain way about that other friend, I'll give my advice, but I'll also say, I think you should talk to her too.
Exactly.
I'll say that because I don't want what I'm saying to be the common cause of it becoming worse, or it being your defining moment of this is what my decision is going to be. I'll give my opinion, but at the end of the day, my advice is do what's best for you.
Right.
So where I am now, mature-wise, as an adult, when it comes to friendships, I don't have any friendships where I'm uncomfortable or I feel like I have to be a certain way around these friends, or I have to bite my tongue, or I have to not bring you around because you don't like this person. I don't like that. I want to be able to say, let me send a group text to everybody in my circle like I did this morning and say, hey, let's meet up at 6:30.
Right.
And not having to leave somebody out the group text because you feel a certain way about a certain person.
Right.
Now, the question I asked you about, have you ever been friends with someone who has been malicious to somebody else and why still remain friends with that person, is because growing up, I thought that I could still be friends with people who did malicious things to other people and still call them my friend. I've experienced that so many times and made excuses for people like this, thinking, well, they're my friend. They haven't did that to me. I know that they probably did to other people, but they haven't did that to me. And that's a deal breaker for me. If I'm friends with somebody and I discover that they've done some malicious things or hurtful things to people, then I'm going to assume that you're going to do those with me. I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and have a conversation with you. But depending on how you handle that conversation or how you handle yourself in this matter will depend on whether or not we're going to still be friends. But at the end of the day, if I see that someone has malicious intent and they are just being toxic in another situation, I'm going to probably assume that you're going to probably be the same way with me.
That's where I get the term, that's how I'm going to feed you from.
Because before I did make excuses for those people, and I even attempted to try to change those people. Now, I'll still offer a word of advice, encouragement, and I'll even offer, hey, if there's anything you need me to do to support you in possibly changing this situation, I'm there. But you're not someone that I can have in my close in my closeness, in my immediate circle. And that's because I have to protect my heart. A lot of times our trauma, our experiences, the things that we deal with cause us to change and do things differently as we move forward when it comes to just the people, that we consider friends or whoever. Because you have to make that choice. Either you're going to keep dealing with this and possibly keep getting hurt, or you're not. And I'm just like, I'm not going to deal with it. And that's why when you said earlier, I see how you kind of vet people out and, you kind of, see if they're going to be someone that you're going to have close to you before you just make that decision on calling me a friend. Even colleagues, even partnerships, even people who want to do business with me. I have to vet you. Because if you have a bad reputation or you out here doing bad business with people, I can't connect myself with you. I can't, because I have a reputation that I have to protect. And if your reputation says otherwise and it does not line up with what in the area that I'm trying to go in, I can't do that. And another thing I do now is when I consider someone being my friend, associate, colleague, or whatever, you have to bring value to the situation. Mm-hmm. Before I didn't, that wasn't anything that was important to me. I was bringing value to the situation. Now you have to bring value to the situation. If you don't, that's going to determine, what level you are in my life.
A lot of the things that, a lot of people that I have as friends, and it's not a lot, can tell you that I put people to a test to see if they deserve to be around me. And I'm not saying I'm big, bad, and I'm all that and all this other, but I am me. Mm-hmm. And I only get one me. So I put a lot of people to the test just to see if this is somebody that I can be loyal to, or would they be loyal to me. Mm-hmm. Because when I put out the word friend, I mean that. Other than that, you're an associate. We may kick it, you are an associate. Mm-hmm. But I test a lot of people just to see how far I can go. Because when I call you my friend, I want to get deep down into some serious conversation, because I can't talk to my husband about everything that goes on in my mind. Sometimes you need a girlfriend to vent to, because it might be about him, or but I need that ear, because I can't hold everything.
And you need to also understand if this individual is going to be accepted in your circle. Yeah. I think what we forget sometimes is, and I make a joke about this, if I call someone my friend, I post a picture or something like that, shout out to my bestie Tiffany, shout out to my bestie Sonia, they will call like, who is this?
Me too.
Yes. So, and it's so funny to me, but I get it, because you want to make sure that if you're considering to call somebody your friend, or you're considering to bring someone into this circle for whatever reason, make sure your circle is going to be accepting of that, because that'll cause problems. Yes. That was my issue before. Like, I would do somebody here, and next thing you know, I'm calling them my friend, bringing them around, and y'all like, now who is this? Yeah. And that's why a lot of the drama and the toxicness accumulated the way it did, because I know for me taking accountability, I was bringing people around that I was just considering my friend just because I did their hair and we were cool, we had a cool conversation, but I didn't get a chance to get to know this person to see if their characteristics lined up with who I was or who my friends were.
Yes. And yeah, that was a domino effect.
Yeah. It was. It definitely was.
Yeah. I'm all about testing people to see if they align with whatever I got going on.
So you mentioned testing people to see, if they're worthy of being your friend. What are some of the things that you do to test? One of the guests that was on the show said that he would actually make them angry to see how they reacted to it. So is that something you've ever done? Like, how do you feel about that?
I'll make up a bald-faced lie. Mm-hmm. A bald-faced lie. And the person I'm lying to, I would lying on. I'll let them know that, hey, just in case this came out, this is something I made up, just to see how far, and would this be a telephone game? Mm-hmm.
So have you done that to people who you think may not be trustworthy, or are you saying overall? Overall,
because I'm very territorial. Mm-hmm. When I have friends, I'm very, very territorial.
Have you ever tested me?
Yeah. Your test was passed.
Okay,
that happened a long time ago. But I'm very territorial when I get to my friends. But I just make up a bald-faced lie that's going to be so juicy, and just to see how far it would get, and then see if you say that you didn't say it because you're the only person that knew about it. And that's how I just test people. And now I know I can't talk to you, so I know how to feed you. I mean, just because I high and value don't mean we.
So is that one of those situations where you give people enough rope to hang themselves? Yep. Okay. Yep. I don't know if I believe in it. And I'm not saying I'm against it. That
just shows you who they are.
I trust people until I can't.
Yeah.
That's just me. And the reason I do that is because when I think about making someone mad on purpose, let's just say that I think that can backfire.
It can, but then in the end, you can still, once it backfires, or you can still salvage it, just let them know, I was just testing you. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes it could backfire because you don't know their backstory to what you just made up. So it is all the way you put it and position it and everything like that. And it don't take long for them to hang themselves. It don't take long. That's why I don't have that many friends.
See, I guess that's where my big heart comes in, that because I really don't want people to hang themselves.
it ain't what you want. It's just when they show you who they are, believe them.
Oh, I'm with that.
Believe
I'm with that. I definitely understand that when people show you who they are, you believe them. You don't make any excuses for them.
Yeah, because a lot of people want you to walk in their shoes versus
I guess my approach to friendships is a little different than some people, and not that I have anything against what other people's approach is. My approach is, now don't get me wrong, I do vet people in the beginning, and if something doesn't feel right, it's probably not right in the beginning, and you can kind of tell within a few minutes of a conversation with somebody. So for example, when Kev and I met, we had like an hour set aside for a meeting. We talked for almost 4 hours, and he was one of the first people that I met. We met on business, but when I sat down and I talked to him, he was so interested in my story. And when I told my story to him, I've worked with a lot of people who I've tried to tell my story to, and they almost get it. And when it's on film or whatever, it's like, you almost got it. But when I told it to him, I literally told him about a dream I had about me standing with my hands lifted. But in my dream, it was like the camera was going into a circle, like circling me. And I told him about the song that was playing, and within the next 24 hours, he made it happen. So I think when you meet people who just get you, like sometimes we meet people for business purposes, but we end up being friends with them. Right. So in those instances, I'm not going to do something to see if they're worthy of being my friend, because I'm not meeting you to be my friend. Right. But if we eventually be friends, we're friends. If we eventually become friends, we become friends because our characteristics line up, because I feel like we brought value to each other. Now, have Kevin and I had our ups and downs? Yes. But I have learned some things from him on how to even deal with having ups and downs with a male, whether it's a romantic situation or not, or just a friend. And I think that in friendships, we should learn from each other. In friendships, we should be open to constructive criticism. In friendships, we should be open to having our flaws called out and not being upset about it, and taking those call outs as lessons. Like I said the other day, you know what, maybe there's some truth to what y'all are saying, because I've heard this more than once. So let me kind of analyze that. That's me. And I'm not saying that that's how everybody should do to deal with things, but I've always been told, you know, you got a big heart, you do too much, you this, you that. But a lot of the times, people that were telling me that was the ones that were using me too. So it was hard for me to receive that. But I had to also analyze, maybe what they're telling me, there's some truth to this. So why is it that they can't see that they're the ones that's using me too? Right. You know, so again, we teach people how to treat us.
Yeah, that goes without saying, especially the accepting it, because everybody always, when they meet me, like, you so mean. You so mean.
I never thought you were a mean person. I thought you were.
Everybody
goofy.
Always say I'm so mean. Like my mom to this day. Like,
maybe it's the facial
friends?
Expressions.
Oh, my mom has a story about you. How are you friends with people and you so mean to them? I'm not mean. I'm just direct.
You're direct.
I'm very.
But
direct.
I do think people can take direct as being mean. I used to be one of those type of people, but I've never looked at you as a mean person. Oh. Never. I've never looked at you as a mean person. I looked at you as, your directness to me, I interpreted as a protector. Most people who are protectors, they are very direct. But I never looked at you as being mean. And maybe some people who look at you as being mean don't know you on a personal level, so they probably could take it that way.
Yeah. It took me until my friend Kirsten, she told me, because she's such a sweetheart, but she's so sensitive.
Pushy? You think she's like a pushover?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she's the one who opened my eyes to how direct I am with how I talk to people. Okay. Because I didn't know that half of the stuff I was saying to her, I was like crushing.
Okay, so her. Now that you say that, and now that you bring up cursing, I can see how some people can look at you probably as being mean. No, because I've witnessed you say things, and I didn't think it was mean, but the person who you said it to, I've kind of watched their response, and I'm like, ooh, that probably wasn't the best way to say that. Yeah. And I can say this: growing up, I didn't know how to tell you that. Now I can tell you that.
Yeah, anybody can tell me. I love constructive criticism because it makes me better.
But people don't know that. Not everybody knows that.
I love it. I take in constructive criticism. When she told me that changed the way I talked to her, because I didn't know I was going for her jugular every time I was talking to her.
One thing I value about you, and I can say about you, is if I have ever come to you and said something to you about what you may have did to either hurt me or offend me or just whatever, you've always acknowledged it and owned up to it, even if you didn't intend to it. And And I think that, when I think about all my friends and while I'm still friends with them, that's one thing I can say I value about you when I've come to you, even as kids, and said, hey, you've always acknowledged it, owned up to it, and tried to get an understanding of, but why did I make, why do you think I made you feel the way? Well,
Right.
You've always done that. And I really appreciate that.
Because it's not what I say, it's how I say it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And it took me until she told me this, because I'm telling you, I did not know.
But
she
when
would
people
always
are
reply.
important to you, when their friendships are important to you, you'll figure out why and try to fix it.
Yeah. And I didn't know that I was mothering her.
Enabling her properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't enabling her because it was for who it was about.
Mm-hmm.
But I was definitely mothering her, and I was coming on too strong of what I would have did versus how that's her life.
Okay.
So I was living my life through her, giving her what I would have did. And I didn't live that life.
That's a good... I'm glad you made that point, because I think sometimes when we give advice based on what we would do. And that's not the best advice.
Yeah, at all.
That's not the best advice.
And then after she told me that, I had to watch literally. And I have, to this day, I make it my point to watch what I say to her and how I give her any type of advice, because it's not coming off malicious. It's just how I say stuff.
Okay.
And with her being super sensitive, I have to remember I have to talk to her like she's super sensitive.
I got it. Well, I'm going to wrap things up, and I'm going to say this in closing. Thank you for being my friend.
Of course.
For over 30 years. What I can say is that not a whole lot about us has changed, which is a good thing, because we're still those goofy friends. We still laugh a lot. I don't want that to ever change.
Of course.
Tiffany said to me one day, she said, I know you're growing and I love your growth. She said, but please don't take away your sense of humor. I love it. And I love that she reminded me of that, because sometimes you think that when you're growing in other areas and you're becoming successful and you have a platform, that you have to change a lot of things. And I think that's why a lot of celebrities have lost friends, because they probably think, oh, you're bougie, or you think you're better than that. Now, sometimes you have to walk away from some of those friendships that just don't get it. So I thank my best friend Tiffany for saying to me, I love where you're going. I get it. And I get that you have to change, but don't change your sense of humor. I love that about you. She did also tell me, I know that there are some things that I have to be a little bit understanding of because of who you are now, and I do, and I respect that. So I thank y'all for allowing me to be me. I thank y'all for allowing me to share this platform with you and not be envious of it. And you make it easier for me to be who I am, because sometimes, the old me used to be like, I have to go overboard with this loyalty because I don't want them to leave me. I never wanted y'all to leave me. I never wanted to be lonely. So in this position that I'm in now, y'all allow me to still be who I am, even though I've evolved to this other person. And not everybody has that. I'm blessed to have friends to still be those friends with me, to still have my back, to still be my peripheral vision when I can't see some things that are going on, because a whole lot more is going on now. So I definitely appreciate that. Not a lot of people get the chance to sit down and tell their friends, thank you for still being my friends.
Right.
Thank you for still being who you are, even though there's some changes that I have to make. Y'all have adjusted to my life, and I really appreciate that.
Had no other choice. Had no other choice. Just super territorial. Had all these new friends and stuff. Like, who was that?
See?
Low-key vet.
That's what I'm saying. See, you can't even end on a serious note. She got to always just come with the goofiness. No, but thank you. Don't ever change that. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.